Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Craig Ben, aka Cash Cake, back with another college football price picks video. And today we're doing Saturday, some real college football.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, tomorrow's games, not so much. Not so many great games. Had a few good. This game's fun to watch with Pitt and West
Yeah.
Virginia. Some things didn't happen what I thought were going to happen for sure, but it's actually a good game to watch. But Saturday we got a lot of them, man. So yeah, I'm here with my buddy Zach from DFSArmy, and yeah, man. We're gonna talk about 5 plays here, price picks that you like. So we could just dive right into them and get after them.
Yeah, man, let's get after it. So we're gonna start off here with some passing yards. Going with Quinn Ewers at Texas. Got his first start.
Oh, this is your boy too. You're a Texas guy, man.
I'm a
So
Texas guy. I'm excited for this. But I mean, this spot, I've seen some projections for him well over 300 yards, going up against Louisiana Monroe, who was literally the third worst passing offense or defense last year. Gave up almost 300 yards a game, and that was two very bad passing offenses over there in the Sun Belt. Quinn Ewers, this is going to be a team that really needs to get going. They got to get him going before they play Alabama next week. And I think they want to show off their, shiny new toy too. Every team likes to do it. Texas, I'm sure, has paid him a lot of money, and those
they never do.
benefactors really
It's
want to see their shiny new toy, and they're going to show it off.
yeah,
Um, I think he easily could get 300 yards in 3 quarters here. I don't think they're going to show off too much here. I think they're going to keep Bijan safe, um, and just let him protect him, get him, 30, 40 passes, get his arm warmed up for next week against Alabama.
yeah, I like it, man. Definitely agree with that. I think Alabama, man, that's they'll be tough next week. So yeah, embrace the win, get all the
Yep.
all the alumni drunked up and happy and
Yep.
seeing especially watching Casey Thompson light it up in
Oh
week
yeah.
0. So they don't want to, they'll be like, hey, this guy's good too, man. We got our
Yeah.
guy. So
Well, I mean, I think yours wants to show off too. He knows all the hype. He was the hype, and then all of a sudden, Arch Manning's coming over, and he hears that.
oh, 1,000%. He does. So I mean, he's got something to prove as well. So yeah, I agree. I think that is way too low. I think what I'd be okay with that thing if the number got up to say um 260, then I maybe
Yeah,
265, I'd be a little worried about it. So if try to talk about these a little bit in the videos, what we talk it up to, I think is a good idea because these
for
lines
sure.
will move. And one thing, like I said, if you want to check us out in the Patreon streets as well, man, you can come over and I'll put the link in the description below. A lot of these lines move fast. So when these come out, drop them in drop them in Patreon. I talked about it in Friday's video with Brown, got him almost 20 yards under where he's at now. And so yeah, as these move up, I think we talk them through the videos. I think we could talk to them of what we're comfortable playing them to,
Yeah,
just because of how much they do move. So I don't know about you, but I think I'd be okay with around 265, maybe 270 would be. I wouldn't want to go north of that, even though I think he could throw 300 yards easily. But on teams like this, you just never know if Robinson takes two to the house quick, it get just limited opportunities to show him off. So I think that would be the only really concern.
I agree completely. And
So
they could pull him early for next week too.
yeah, so that's that again. That would be me at my mark. So what's the next one we're gonna look at here?
We're gonna go over to same staying at passing yards, going over to Talo Tagovailoa to Little Tua. It's at 359.5. I love him. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he has a ton of upside. This is just too high. I mean, he hit this 3 times last year, and Buffalo is not a good team, but they only gave up over 360 yards passing 1 time last year. They're a decent passing defense, and I just see no reason in this game that he's going to be in there long enough to throw for 360 yards. They're going to blow out Buffalo. They want to get their run game established. They want to get their receivers established, and they want to get out healthy. They have, a tough Big Ten schedule. This isn't where they're going to go and put up all of those yards. Last year they did it. He did it against Penn State. That was a tough game. That was a shootout. That was a good offense. They're not going to need to do that here. Buffalo's not good.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, when you look at that, you're like, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that is a lot of yards, man. What would you say your comfortable mark to if you are playing the less here on this at 360? What is it if it does come down off this number? Where are you comfortable? Like the cutoff line where you're like, I wouldn't feel comfortable playing it.
I see him getting 300 to 325 yards. So I think I take it to 340.
Okay.
just because it gives you a little bit of buffer there. It gives you some cushion. Um, but I mean, I do think he has a great game here. It's just 360 yards is crazy.
It's a lot, yeah. If it's not a close game to see a quarterback do this, and unless he's got like a couple just bombs that,
Yeah.
early in the game, and then that happens. But I'm with you. I think that 340 is a real comfortable mark where
Yeah.
you're not pushing it too hard. And I see this coming down. I think it'll get down into the 340s. I really
Yeah.
do. Definitely, it'll be down to 350. I think, but I think we'll see it down in 340s. But I wouldn't get down. I'm with you. 340 be where my limit would be on that.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on, let's go over to rushing yards. We're going to go over to a quarterback, to Malik Cunningham.
Fun guy to watch.
So I love Malik Cunningham. I think he has insane upside, constantly running. This is a game against Syracuse that actually usually is a tough test for him. Two running quarterbacks, decent defense. Syracuse has a pretty good defense. And this is a team that always early in the season seems to lean on Malik Cunningham. They seem to never be able to figure out their running backs early in the season. They never figure out how to throw the ball. And Cunningham has one of those breakout games. Even if he doesn't, I think 42 yards is low for him. Last year, he went over 42.5 yards, 9 out of 12 games. Syracuse was one of the games that held him under, so they did figure out how to hold him in check. But this is, I mean, when you're hitting at a 75% clip and you're going with I think it's a great place to hit, especially the first game of the season when they can prepare for Syracuse all off season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when we pulled up and looked at his game log, we saw Syracuse. That was later in the year.
Yeah.
Getting them, early in the year like this. We've seen the games week 0, and then just tonight, Thursday, we've just seen these games get real tight and sloppy early. And a guy like this, man, it's one juke and he is gone, and he could get this in one rush. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. Um, but yeah, I don't mind that play at all. He's very capable of getting there, and 42 and a half. I don't know. I think for me, that number for me to
Yeah.
feel comfortable playing, I'd probably be okay with it. Like, I don't want to go too crazy high on it, like maybe 50, like I just maybe 55, but I wouldn't want to go over that. I mean, that's just me personally. I don't think I'd go
No.
higher than that.
No, I think Syracuse has a good defense. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't go 45 to 50 is kind of be my limit.
Gotcha.
Um, just because I know that Syracuse, their main goal is going to be to stop Malik Cunningham.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's what they've been practicing for all off season too.
Yeah, I think yeah, 50. I think if it gets if it crawls up that far, I think it would just bypass it and look for something else. So, yeah, and then let's move on to the
For
next one.
sure. Moving on, the last will be fantasy points. Let's go over to Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams is the starting running back now for Iowa. This is a team that loves to run the ball. It's going to run the ball a ton. It's hard to look at last year's stats. They
Right.
had, I think he was second on the depth chart last year. He's
Did he run
definitely
behind
starting.
Goodson?
Yes,
Okay.
he was number 2. I think he ended up number 3 though because they had their quarterbacks running a little bit more.
Right.
Didn't get a ton of work, but over 12, I think is easy to hit for him. He's going up against South Dakota State, I believe, and so he gets an FCS team. His yardage total, if you go back and look at that, is at 69.5. So they're assuming he's going to get 7 points right there. And he's, all he needs to do then is fall into the end zone, and
Right.
he's already over that 12 points. This is also a team last year that started throwing the ball to their running backs. Goodson last year had 31 receptions, excuse me. And even in his limited time, Williams had 9 receptions last year. So you get those extra 2 points. That's a ton when all you got to get to is 12.
Yeah, I'm with you. Teams like this, and we see it a lot when they play lesser competition, especially FCS teams. You almost always see, especially if you're a running team, they almost always get in the box. I think that is why you don't see that touchdown like we did with, on Thursday with Brown or some of these where you have like over a half touchdown, because that would have been my favorite if they
Oh,
had it. So I think that's why they're not doing it. But then you throw 12 fantasy points at it. It's like, well, if you're like you said, if they're doing 70 rush yards and a touchdown, well, you're sitting over 13 right there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you could play either one of these, but I'm with you. I think the fantasy points is the way to go. And I don't know, I feel comfortable playing that up to maybe 14, maybe
I think, yeah,
15.
14 to 15.
Yeah,
I could see him getting a couple catches for 10 yards,
right.
just 3 right there, get that 70 yards and get a touchdown. That's 16. So
And
that
if he
15
gets in the
points is
box
right
twice,
there.
which is very, very possible. I mean,
Yeah.
he could easily get 2 touchdowns here, and then you just blow it out of the water. But just to be conservative on it, I think that's where I would feel pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, I agree completely. Last place we're going over is Cornelius Johnson, wide receiver over at Michigan. He's sitting at 13 fantasy points, so we're going to go with fantasy points here. I hate this number. I think it's way too high. Looking like we just did, he's sitting there at 3.5 receptions and 48.5 receiving yards. So they're giving you 8.5 points right there. So he has to get a touchdown to hit this. He has Cade McNamara starting this week. Harbaugh's already come out and said McNamara starting this week and McCarthy starting next week. McCarthy's the good quarterback. Right. McNamara is the game manager that throws it 18 times a game, and they run it 50 times a game.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, like, any of these Michigan wide receivers, whenever that dude's starting, and if you have anything over like 75 yards, just play the unders. Yep. Just play the unders, because and it's not like this is I mean, they can do whatever they want against this team, and it's Harbaugh, man. They love to run, so I mean, he's probably putting them out there because they're just like, we'll just run the ball. We'll run the ball the whole game and win it and be done with it. So yeah,
this one. You have Bell there too. I was going to say, if you want to play that, I do think Ronnie Bell is a lot more talented wide receiver.
Oh, for sure.
Than Cornelius Johnson, and he's only at 15.5. I think you could easily, I think he will easily score 5 to 10 fantasy points more than Cornelius Johnson on any team if he's given a chance.
Yep, it's more just with how the game is going to go, and we saw it even tonight. On Thursday we're recording this. Teams that should blow them out. And we look at stud alphas on teams like for Tennessee, right? And you look at Cedric Tillman, which is basically one of the number ones, and 7 balls for 74. Like, he just didn't get in the box. It's like, just because there's no reason they don't need it. Like those massive overs, you're looking for competitive games. So in games like this, you kind of have to look at game script wise and be like, they just don't need it. Could the wide receivers and whatnot get in the box and get there? Sure. But you just have to kind of look at the game script and realize they're not going to need it here. And it's just not what Harbaugh does. What's a good number on this one you'd feel comfortable if it does start going down? What would be a comfortable number?
I think I would take this down to about 10.5. I think you can look here and see kind of where they're. And one thing I think with Prizepicks, you can kind of look at search the name, look at the different stats that are out there, and you can see what they're thinking. You can see what Prizepicks is thinking. And if you think he's going to get a touchdown, well, then those fantasy points aren't a good play for you. But if you sit here and you see the yards, you sit here, you see the receptions, you can do the math yourself and see what he needs to get. I think that 10.5 points gives you a little cushion in case he does get, a 10-yard touchdown pass, which gets you 9 points right there. You don't want to go too much lower than 10.5 just because of that and those full PPR modes. But yeah, I mean, I think you still have a little bit of cushion there at 10.5.
Yep, I like it, man. Well, there's 5 of them for you. Again, a lot of college football, both Friday and Saturday here. There's a ton of college football on Saturday. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. And if you want to check out some more plays, I'll be dropping them all the way up until lock as we see some value that opens up. And as they continue to drop plays, we'll try to jump on them here before they move. But it's been fun, Zach. Appreciate your insight on these. And again, if you are looking for any kind of daily fantasy sports action, you can head on over to DFSArmy and get access to everything that we have there. Zach's on cheat sheets, been killing himself, man, with all these games that we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Got both DraftKings, FanDuel. Got all the games loaded up in our optimizer and the domination station. Again, come over there and check all of that stuff out. Get some sleep, man. I know it's late. Let's enjoy some football on Friday and Saturday, and hopefully we can help some guys win a little bit of cash.
For sure. Good luck this week, man.
All right, man. See you on the flip side. Deuces.